Most people don't die at 82. They start fading at 62. They begin dying when their days start to feel the same. It doesn't happen suddenly. It begins quietly. You wake up one morning, a little slower. You move less, not because you choose to, but because you no longer see the point. You eat what's easy, not what gives life. You stop calling, stop planning, stop looking forward, and you tell yourself, this is just aging. This is how it's supposed to be. But what if it isn't? What if this heaviness, this fading from life, has nothing to do with age and everything to do with losing your reason to participate? In Zen, we say, when you forget your place in the world, the body begins to loosen its grip on life. This video is not about preventing death. It's about remembering how to fully live with presence, with movement, with connection, and with purpose. Because the truth is, you are not too old to come back to yourself. You are still here. You are still being asked to show up. So let me walk you through 4 quiet ways we unknowingly begin to fade, and how to return, one breath, one step at a time. Let's begin with the first sign, when the body stops moving and the spirit follows. 1. They stop moving, how the body learns to give up. There's a quiet moment in many people's lives, often after 60, when the movement they once took for granted becomes optional. The stairs feel longer, the floor feels harder, getting up feels like an effort, so we do it less. We move when we must, but not because we want to. And slowly, invisibly, we stop choosing to move at all. It never feels dramatic. It begins with tiny shifts. We retire, and there's no commute. We sit more, we walk less. The body doesn't protest, it adapts. But that's exactly the danger. The body listens to everything you don't do, and it obeys. Over time, your muscles begin to soften. Your joints grow stiff. Your bones lose density. But something deeper happens too. Your brain quiets. Not in peace, but in stagnation. Because movement isn't just for the body. It keeps your nervous system awake. It sends signals through your spine that say, I'm still here. I still belong. When movement stops being intentional, the body starts to forget its reason for staying alert. And when the body forgets, the mind follows. In Zen, we have a saying, the body is the bell. Movement is the ringing. Without movement, even the bell forgets its sound. This isn't just about physical health. It's about identity. The way you stand, walk, stretch, or breathe tells your nervous system that you are alive and needed. When you slump, hesitate, or stay still too long, your entire system responds by slowing down, as if you're preparing to leave the world, not live in it. I once spoke with a man in his 70s. He was sharp, witty, and full of stories, but he had stopped walking outdoors after a small fall. I just don't want to risk it, he said. Over the next 6 months, his voice grew quieter. He began forgetting small things. His balance worsened, not from the fall itself, but from the fear of moving. One day he told me, I feel like I'm disappearing. And in a way, he was, because he had stopped sending his body the message, stay, I still want to be here. But the beautiful thing is, this process is reversible. The body doesn't need you to run a marathon. It needs you to return, slowly, consciously, with intention. Start with resistance training, not with machines, but with body weight, a soft elastic band, or simply standing from a chair with mindful breath. Practice stretching, not randomly, but with attention to your spine, your hips, your shoulders. Walk, not just around the house, but outdoors where the path changes, where your feet meet uncertainty and learn to respond. Every time you move with awareness, you say to your body, I still need you. Keep me sharp. And your body, loyal and ancient, responds. This isn't about avoiding death. It's about choosing life, one gentle step at a time. Because here's something many forget. Movement is not about feeling strong. It's what makes you strong. It's not what you do after you feel good. It's what helps you feel that way in the first place. In the language of energy, what you repeatedly choose becomes your vibration. If you avoid, ignore, or hesitate, your energy begins to settle at that frequency. But when you engage, lift, expand, and reach, you invite more life into your field. You raise your frequency. You signal the universe, I'm still growing, I'm still showing up. And life responds to those who show up. So start small. Move not out of habit, but out of reverence. For your body, your breath, your presence. Because every time you move with intention, you're not just keeping your balance or building muscle. You're saying to every cell in your being, I choose to remain. As a Zen master once said, to walk with awareness is to return home with every step. But movement alone isn't enough, because even the strongest body cannot carry you forward if the fuel inside is slowly working against you. Let's now look at the second quiet signal of fading, when we eat not to nourish, but to fill an emotional gap. 2, they eat for comfort, not for life. There comes a quiet shift in how we eat as we grow older. It doesn't begin with a decision, it begins with a feeling, a loss of appetite not for food but for meaning. Breakfast becomes something quick, lunch is whatever's left. Dinner is less about nutrition and more about ease. Soft foods, familiar flavors, comfort, something to fill the silence. But what we often don't see is that these small choices, repeated daily, are not just shaping our plates, they're shaping ourselves. After 60, the digestive system becomes more delicate. Stomach acid drops, absorption slows. Your body doesn't take in nutrients the way it once did. It doesn't store energy the same. That means even if you eat enough, your cells may still be starving. Starving for protein to preserve muscle, starving for minerals to fuel recovery, starving for hydration to keep your brain clear and your joints alive. And yet, what do we often reach for? Bread, crackers, cereal, pasta, cookies, the things that soothe but never strengthen. There's nothing wrong with enjoying food that reminds you of warmth, but when comfort becomes the default, healing disappears. The body may feel full, but the soul remains underfed. And it's not just physical. The food we choose reflects the energy we carry. When we eat out of boredom, sadness, or habit, we feed the vibration of stagnation. We tell life, I'm not growing anymore. But when we choose food with presence, with care, we say, I still want to feel alive. A Zen saying goes, the mind that chooses each grain of rice is the same mind that chooses how to live. In other words, how you eat is how you move through the world. There's a story in the Zen tradition of a monk who spent a week preparing a simple bowl of soup. When asked why, he said, because every ingredient carries a season of the earth, and I want to meet it with the same attention I meet my soul. Most of us don't have the time, or perhaps the stillness, for that kind of sacred preparation, but we can return to the spirit of it. Eating with presence means choosing foods that fuel your next breath, your next walk, your next good night's sleep. It means honoring the vessel that still carries you through this life. Practically, this means building your meals not around ease, but around what your future self will thank you for. Choose protein-rich foods, fish, eggs, beans, tofu, because muscle is your currency for aging well. Add color, greens, berries, sweet potatoes, not for trend, but because each hue speaks a different language to your organs. Drink water first, before coffee, before juice. Your brain, your skin, your kidneys, they're all waiting to be cleansed, not coated. And yes, lessen the sugar, not just for your waistline, but for your clarity. Excess sugar clouds your emotions. It fogs the brain. It brings the body down to a frequency where heaviness lingers. That afternoon crash, that mental haze, that sadness that seems to hover for no reason. Much of it can be softened by simply feeding your system the light it's asking for. Let's be honest. You already know what food helps you feel alive, and you already know which ones numb you. So this isn't about information, it's about intention. Eat not because the clock says so. Eat not to pass the time or to fill the silence. Eat to support your body. Eat to strengthen your presence. Eat to say, I am still here. I still choose life. And remember, eating with care is not a burden. It's a form of self-respect. Start with one meal a day. Make it nourishing, vibrant, and honest. Not perfect, just alive. Even the smallest shift, repeated consistently, sends a ripple through your energy. It tells your cells, we're still rebuilding, we're still healing. And they respond, quietly but powerfully. A woman once told me, after my husband passed, I stopped cooking. It felt pointless. But then one day I made a pot of soup just for me, and it was the first time in months that I felt like I mattered again. Eating well isn't about restriction, it's about remembrance. You're not eating for your age, you're eating for your light. But even the most nourishing food cannot replace what makes us fully human. Because the soul also feeds on touch, laughter, and presence. And that's why the next quiet killer is the shrinking of our social world. Let's explore how isolation, more than almost anything else, causes the spirit to wither. 3. They shrink their social world and fade from life. Loneliness doesn't arrive with a loud knock. It slips in through the back door, quiet, polite, almost invisible. One day you skip a gathering because you're tired. The next week you let a phone call go to voicemail. And before you realize it, days become silent. Conversations grow rare. Not because you chose solitude, but because you slowly stop choosing a connection. For many people after 60, the world begins to shrink. Friends move. The family grows busy. The rhythm of daily life softens. What once felt warm and full becomes still. And stillness, if left untouched, becomes isolation. But the human nervous system was not designed for long silence. We are wired to reflect, to resonate, to remember who we are in the eyes of others. When connection fades, so does clarity, so does joy, so does the energy that once flowed freely between bodies and hearts. In Zen, we say, a single tree does not make a forest. A single monk cannot chant a full sutra. Even the most awakened being thrives in the presence of another. It's not about being surrounded by crowds. It's about feeling seen, feeling heard, feeling like your story still matters. When conversation disappears, the mind begins to forget how to dance. The heart forgets how to lift. The eyes forget how to light up. This isn't just poetic language. Your biology listens to connection. When someone looks you in the eye, your heart rate stabilizes. When you laugh with someone, your body releases chemicals that soothe pain, lift mood, and strengthen immunity. But when days pass without genuine interaction, the opposite happens. Subtle, quiet withdrawal. Sleep worsens, memory dulls, appetite fades, posture collapses, and life begins to feel like something happening outside of you. The tragedy isn't in being alone. It's in forgetting how to reach. But there's hope in this truth. Reconnection doesn't require hundreds of friends. It requires one act of willingness. I once met a retired school teacher named Paul. After his wife passed and his children moved away, he fell into what he called a kind of living silence. His house was clean, his garden is neat, but his voice had softened into almost a whisper. When I asked him what he missed most, he said, "The sound of someone asking me how I am and meaning it." Eventually, he began volunteering twice a month at a library. Nothing dramatic, just helping older folks learn how to use email. But something changed. His posture lifted, his laugh returned. He told me, "I thought I was helping them, but really they reminded me I was still part of the world." This is the gentle power of reconnection. It doesn't demand energy, it gives energy. Even a short walk with a neighbor, a phone call with a childhood friend, or joining a group of people who share your values. These are not luxuries, they are medicine. You may think you're too old to start new relationships, but the heart doesn't age the way the body does. It simply waits for someone to knock. So knock. Send the message. Make the call. Attend that local event, even if it feels awkward, especially if it does. Because discomfort is often the doorway to vitality, and if no one reaches back, then become the one who reaches first. Because connection isn't just what we need, it's also what we create. In the field of energy, what we offer returns to us, not always immediately, not always in the way we expect, but always in resonance. When you become a source of warmth, you begin to attract warmth. When you listen, you are heard. When you give your attention, someone gives it back. But it must begin with intention. In Zen, we often say, when you greet the world with an open palm, the world bows in return. If your days have become quiet, don't wait for the world to come to you. Return to the world with small, deliberate steps. One conversation, one invitation, one shared cup of tea, because your story is still unfolding, and it deserves to be told, shared, and heard. But even connection, even movement, even nourishment are not enough if there's no inner flame guiding your steps. Let's now explore perhaps the most silent danger of all, when purpose disappears and the body follows. 4. They live without purpose and the body responds. There's a moment, quiet and unnoticed, when a person stops moving forward, not physically but spiritually. The days blur, the goals dissolve, the spark that once lived in the eyes softens into silence. This is not about age. This is about direction. After 60, many people retire, not just from work, but from effort, from the challenge, from commitment. At first, this stillness feels like peace, a long-awaited rest. But gradually, without purpose, the stillness hardens into heaviness, into stagnation, into disconnection from life. Purpose is not a luxury. It is oxygen for the soul. And when that oxygen runs low, the entire system begins to shift. Muscles lose tone, posture folds, motivation vanishes, memory dulls, even digestion slows. Not because the body's old, but because it no longer believes it's needed. In the teachings of Zen, there's a phrase, when the mind has no aim, the feet forget how to walk. It means this, without something to walk toward, even the body forgets how to move. I once met a man named Elias in a mountain village temple. He was 84 and carried himself like someone still in his 60s. Steady gaze, upright spine, quick to smile. When I asked him the secret, he said, "I wake up each morning and decide what small thing I want to grow today. A plant, a smile, a habit, a moment, and then I give it my full attention. He didn't talk of purpose as a grand life mission. He talked about it as a daily posture, a reason to rise with awareness. This is the kind of purpose we forget, not something impressive, but something intimate. It's not about changing the world. It's about choosing to still participate in it. You see, when your nervous system senses that you're not needed, it downshifts. Slowly, gently, but with certainty. Your hormones stop sharpening. Your brain stops building new patterns. Your body stops investing in muscle repair, immune defense, and cellular renewal. Because if there's no direction, there's no reason to regenerate. But when even a small intention returns, the body listens. A new current flows. Thought becomes clearer. The spine rises. The face regains its light. And this doesn't require ambition. It only requires attention. Ask yourself, what can I still give? What quality can I still embody? What simple gesture can I offer to someone else, or even to myself? It could be writing a journal each morning, planting herbs on your balcony, teaching your grandchild a forgotten recipe, calling someone who needs comfort, or simply sitting with a candle for 10 minutes and sending goodwill into the world. The point isn't scale, the point is presence. And when you live with presence, life mirrors it back. Energy moves in response to intention. When you speak aloud, I still want to grow, your body reorganizes to support that growth. Your cells awaken. Your heart beats with more rhythm. Your mind becomes more curious, because now it has a reason. Purpose is what draws breath into the lungs. It's what lifts your hand to cook. It's what steadies your legs when you walk into a room, knowing you still belong there. In the Zen tradition, there is a story of a monk who spent every morning polishing a stone by the river. When asked what he was doing, he replied, "I am training the stone to remember the sun." Of course, he knew the stone couldn't hold sunlight, but he also knew purpose is not about outcome. It's about presence, about being fully alive in the act of giving yourself to something, however small. And when you give yourself, without needing to succeed or impress or prove, the body receives that act as a signal. Keep going, keep becoming. So if you felt lost, if the days have begun to feel too quiet, if you started to wonder what's next, or if there's even a next at all, pause, breathe, and ask, what would make today feel meaningful, even just a little? Let that question guide you, not to a finish line, but to a moment of participation. Because when purpose returns, even gently, the whole being leans back into life. And yet, how do we sustain this renewal in daily life? It begins with something small, something consistent. Let's now bring it all together with a simple daily ritual that reconnects your body, your mind, your heart, and your life. 5. A daily ritual to return to life. You've now seen 4 ways the human spirit slowly fades after 60, not because it's weak, but because it begins to lose rhythm. The rhythm of movement, of nourishment, of connection, of purpose, and yet nothing is truly lost. It's only waiting for you to begin again. The beauty of life is that it responds not to perfection, but to repetition, to the quiet act of showing up. Again and again, in small, gentle ways. What if you could design just one ritual, a short, sacred rhythm each day that spoke to your body, mind, and heart all at once? You don't need an hour. You don't need a plan. You only need presence and a willingness to begin. We call this the reconnection ritual. 4 simple acts, done with awareness. Each one awakens something that has gone quiet in you. 1. Move with intention. Before breakfast, take 5 minutes to stretch or walk gently. Not as a chore, but as a reminder to your nervous system, I am still in motion. I still belong here. 2. Eat with respect. Prepare one meal each day as an offering to your future self. Choose food that brings clarity, not heaviness. Sit down, breathe, chew slowly, savor the moment. 3. Connect from the heart, reach out to one person, a call, a note, a walk, even a shared silence. Let someone know they matter. Let them remind you that you still do. 4th, anchor in purpose. Before bed, ask yourself, what did I offer today? It could be a smile, a word of kindness, or a small task done with care. Purpose doesn't need applause. It only needs your sincerity. Each of these done consistently begins to rewire your energy. Your body senses safety. Your mind feels direction. Your emotional field becomes clearer. And slowly, without force, life begins to bloom again inside you. There's a Zen story about an old man who sat each morning at the temple gate with a cup of tea. When asked why he came, even in storms or sickness, he said, "Because I promised life I would meet it here each day." That's what ritual is. Not a routine, but a promise. A promise to meet life, even when it's quiet, even when it hurts, even when nothing outside seems to change. Because every time you return to yourself in stillness and sincerity, the world feels your presence again, and energy flows where presence resides. You begin to think more clearly, sleep more deeply, wake up with something small to look forward to. And this changes everything, not just your health, but your relationship with being alive. So here is your gentle challenge. Try the ritual for 7 days. No pressure, no expectations, just consistency. Write it on a note, tape it to your mirror. Move, eat, connect, reflect. Let this be your rhythm, your quiet heartbeat with life, and remember, even if no one else sees this effort, the universe always does. It always answers presence with possibility. Maybe now you understand. It was never just about aging. It was about what we stopped doing when no one's watching. We stopped moving. We stopped nourishing ourselves. We stopped reaching for others. And most quietly, we stopped believing we have something left to give. But today you've taken a step back toward life. You've remembered that every movement sends a message, that every meal can be an act of love, that every connection rekindles your spark, that every small purpose, lived sincerely, can awaken the whole body from sleep. In Zen, it is said, when you return to the breath, you return to yourself. And the self, once remembered, begins to heal. So ask yourself gently, what part of me is ready to return? What part of me still wants to live? Not just longer, but more fully. If this message touched your heart, I invite you to comment, I choose to return. Let others see it. Let it echo in someone else's healing. And if you'd like to walk further with me, subscribe and stay close. Because this path of awakening has many quiet steps ahead, and each one brings you deeper into life. This path is just beginning, and you're not walking it alone.